Good morning, good evening, good whatever you're having wherever you are. Welcome back to Occult Catalyst, where we explore the depths of magical practices and their profound implications on spiritual journeys. I'm Julian, and today we are delving into two fundamental practices in the occult: invocation and evocation. These methods have been used for centuries to connect with the spiritual realms, but they serve very different purposes and come with unique methodologies and outcomes. Whether you're an experienced practitioner or just starting to explore the occult, understanding these practices is crucial for anyone looking to deepen their spiritual connections. So let's get started. Defining invocation and evocation. Let's begin by defining our terms. Invocation is the practice of calling upon a spiritual entity into oneself. It is not merely about summoning, it's about merging with the entity, allowing it to influence or guide you from within. This can be for the purpose of communication, gaining knowledge, or experiencing divine power directly. Evocation, on the other hand, involves calling a spiritual entity to appear before you, not within. This practice is about creating a manifestation of the entity in the external world, often within a protective boundary with like a magic circle. It's used for obtaining information, services, or commitments from these entities. The key difference between the two lies in where the entity is directed to appear and the level of intimacy involved. Invocation is internal and intimate, evocation is external and more controlled. So that's the biggest thing that like separates the two, is that in invocation you are calling the entity into yourself, as we talked about when we talked about ends. And with evocation, you're either calling it into a space or like an object, so like as we talked about with in the ends video as well, like the triangle of art with the Solomonic magic, where they summon it into the triangle of art, and that's a boundary that the spirit is held in. Otherwise, you can draw spirits into crystals or a scrying mirror or endless things. You can evoke a spirit directly in front of you, in the space in front of you, and you might see like some physical manifestation. Probably very unlikely to get like a full apparition type manifestation, but you might get like some mistiness or something of that nature. I've actually not got that far with it. I really don't practice a lot of evocation. I think it's kind of disrespectful, but again, I'm big on respect, and that's where I come from with it a lot. I think evocation comes from a place of commanding and kind of placing yourself above the entity that you're dealing with, which I see as a negative, so I tend to shy away from that. So that's something that I would, recommend. Again, as I said in my short, having respect and reverence is the biggest thing, as well as your intent, having a clear, honest, and pure intent. Other than that, with invocation, you're going to draw that entity into yourself, and you're going to merge with that energy. That's the other key difference, is that you're going to merge with that energy. You're welcoming it into your energy field, and you're saying, okay, I allow you to take hold of my body and do what you will, within the boundaries that you set and parameters, but given, like you're allowing it to merge with your energy field more or less. And that's going to start causing physical and spiritual changes on a few different levels. So historical context and variations across cultures. Understanding the roots of these practices enhances our appreciation and application. Historically, both techniques appear across various cultures and epochs. Ancient Egyptian priests would invoke their gods during complex rituals to seek guidance or protection for their communities, embodying the gods themselves. In contrast, medieval European magicians relied heavily on evocation, meticulously summoning angels or demons to uncover hidden knowledge or achieve earthly power. These practices were not only confined to the ancient or medieval worlds. They have been adapted and persist in modern spiritual and magical practices across the globe, each culture shaping the practices according to its own spiritual beliefs and needs. So invocation and evocation have been around for a very long time. It's kind of the original basis of spirit work and magic was summoning, these things. And I think Solomonic magic really popularized, evocation, because that's kind of like the most popular form of evocation is the Solomonic forms, which is really cool. There's a lot of steps into it, like each tool they use is consecrated and has to be taken into, communion at the church, and like different steps to it to prepare everything that's like very ornate and takes a lot of work and dedication. Something I don't have the capacity for, at least not right now. I think it's cool though, but it's a very strict tradition too, as are some of these occult orders and stuff like that. So, but definitely cool to know your history and know where it comes from. So, let's discuss how these practices are applied today. In modern Western esoteric traditions, invocation is often used in ceremonial magic to draw down the power of planetary or angelic forces during rituals. Practitioners might invoke the Archangel Michael for protection, for example, feeling his presence within them. Evocation might be seen in the practice of summoning spirits according to Goetic tradition, where magicians call for spirits to appear in a designated space, often for specific tasks or to gain particular knowledge or power. Here's an example where magicians call forth spirits to appear in a designated space, often for specific tasks or to gain particular knowledge or power. So an example of my own use of evocation would be, and I really haven't done evocation a whole lot, but I did evoke Lilith into my scrying mirror. So my scrying mirror is inhabited by Lilith's spirit, and that helps me to have clarity when I do scry, so that I'm able to see the images, visions, symbols, and messages come through a lot more clear. So her energy is entwined into that crystal, that scrying crystal. Otherwise, I do a lot of invocation, and we covered that a lot in the end. So I hope you guys feel good on invocation. If you have any questions on invocation, please leave them down below, so that we can get to them. I'll give you some good insight on what you need answered so that we can get it all solved and get you going. Also, I apologize. I think I have a little bit of a cold. I guess I do want to cover for the difference between evocation and invocation for like the practical side of like what you're actually doing that makes it different is when you invoke. So say I'm invoking Lilith and I out loud say, Lilith, I invoke you into my body. You are welcome to join me now and intertwine with my energy field. That's my intent. That's an invocation. If I change it and I say, Lilith, I summon you forth into the scrying mirror so that you have a place to dwell in, then I'm doing an evocation because I changed the wording ever so slightly. But the ritual generally remains the same, at least for myself. I mean, I'm sure some others would do drastically different things for invocation versus evocation with the rituals, tools and supplies, but I didn't feel it was necessary, so I've just been sticking with the same things, more or less, and using the same methodology. Once you find what works, I mean, you don't really need to switch it up or do anything different. Just keep doing what works, right? And deepening your understanding and, kind of being open to what's next and what's new, but what works. As we advance in our practice, it's important to consider not just how, but why we engage with these entities. Combining invocation and evocation in a single ritual might involve invoking a deity to oversee and empower the evocation of a lesser spirit, thus ensuring safety and efficacy. This demonstrates an advanced understanding and respect for the forces at play. Ethically, we must approach these practices with respect and caution. The spiritual entities we interact with are not tools to be used, but forces to be engaged with respectfully. This ensures our practices are not only succeed, but also contribute to our spiritual growth in a positive way. So that's what I got. Thank you for joining me today on this in-depth exploration of invocation and evocation. I hope this has provided you with a clear understanding of these complex and fascinating topics. If you have questions or would like to share your experiences, please leave a comment below or reach out to me directly at occultcatalyst@gmail.com or through Instagram at lvxtarot. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon for more insightful context from Occult Catalyst. Until next time, may your magical journey be enlightening and your connections profound. Farewell, and blessed be. Ave Lilith.